Okay, today's video we're going to talk about QR code tracking. If you want to use on any marketing material, whether that flyers, any other promotional material like a scorecard at a golf cart, a brochure, even online, you use a QR code. You want to track how many people click through that QR code or scan it and then go through to your target website. If you want to track how many people ultimately use that QR code, this video is going to tell you how to do it quick, easy, and free, being the most important part. You do not need a software or a paid service to do this whatsoever. This is totally free. You can create a QR code and set it up for tracking, specifically with Google Analytics, assuming you have that in 5 minutes or less. Okay? Google Analytics is free. Google Analytics also only takes 5 minutes truly to get it set up on your website. You put one thing of code on your website and you're done, and it's free forever. So, and if you have Google Analytics, this is even easier because you just have to change your website URL slightly to add something at the end of it that doesn't change, where, you can still send people to wherever you want to go. And then each person who uses your QR code is going to show up in Google Analytics. You'll know exactly how many people used your QR code. And what the smart thing to do is, each place that you advertise, you have a different QR code so you can see how many people click through, if you will, or use your QR code every single place you advertise. Ultimately, if you advertise on that golf scorecard locally, you can have a QR code just for that. If you have a flyer that you put up on light posts, use a QR code for that. And then in Google Analytics, you can see which ones are working, so you know which ones to double, triple down on, because it's going to be to your advantage to do so because it's profitable to scale it up. A good marketer tries a bunch of stuff. They find 10% of it that works, it's profitable, and then they stick with that. And the money they make from that one, they go to test 10 more things and so on and so forth. A loser marketer does effectively is they go and they try 2 or 3 things and they don't know if it works or not, and that's all they have budget for, and they can't scale their marketing because they don't know what works, and therefore they don't know what to spend more money on and what to spend less money on, if not no money on. So you will be in the top 10% or 20% of your industry just being the person who understands how to track things correctly, understand how many people that go through your QR code will convert into customers, because that can easily obviously be estimated with the lifetime value of a customer you expect from each person that goes to your website through that QR code, and then effectively be able to understand what you could pay for each visit, and then understanding the cost to advertise to get your QR code in that spot where it's going to be seen. You can see ultimately effectively, is it profitable to run your QR code and ad that goes along with it in each area? Which one should you keep, which one should you not? So with that said, here are the 3 steps that's involved with tracking QR codes, so you could do this kind of analysis for your business, so you can build an actual marketing strategy for your business that scales. So the first step is you go to any free QR code generator online. Now there's some good paid software out there where you can generate QR codes so that, like, for instance, if you wanted to change, once the QR codes are out there, the place that it sends the traffic to, you can easily do that. I'm not saying you have to do that, but it may be something. It's just letting you the main benefit of having a paid solution. But there's no reason to have a paid solution. You don't need it if you're just going to run a few QR codes and you don't suspect the QR code needs to change at any point. Before I go ahead and go to the second point, also I want to point out as well that if you're really spending some serious coin on these campaigns in terms of the places where your QR codes are at to get those QR codes in those spots, and you plan on doing it long term, over years, I would just go with the paid solution to generate QR codes, because just from the standpoint that the free solutions that you could go and just type in on Google, QR code generator online, free. And you'll find tons of stuff that comes up on Google that'll let you create a QR code in 2 seconds, totally for free. But that service goes out of business, if you will, then it'll break all your QR codes. Or at the very least, it's going to be a pain in the ass trying to have to go to the golf course where your scorecard needs to be the QR code needs to be updated, and the ad rep there that sold it to you or whatever. It's a pain in the ass. So if you think ahead, and it's obviously hard for you to know how long you're going to be doing it if you're just starting out. And in that case, maybe you do it, maybe you don't. But if you know that QR codes are going to work long term for you, you probably should just go with a paid solution. If you're curious about what paid solutions you should use, leave me a comment down below. I'll give you the QR code company, which I can't think of it off the top of my head right now. The last paid one that my clients had used that was pretty good, but I'll get you one that has been running for years, have no problems with it. So with that said, number 2, you're going to, at the end of the website URL that you want to send the traffic to, you're going to add this exact thing basically in here. So let's say you're sending traffic to jimmyscarwash.com. Let's say you're sending the traffic there. It would be jimmyscarwash.com, and then directly after it, $UTM_source equals QR code 1. So this does not change anything about where users go. All this does is it adds some metadata to your URL. However you're generating the QR code to begin with, and when people use that, in Google Analytics, when people go through that QR code, this particular visit to the website came through this particular QR code. And what you'll do, if you take my advice and you have different QR codes for every placement that you're running your advertisement with your QR code on it, and then you have this part of what I just gave you, which is called the UTM tag. Instead of saying QR code 1, for the second QR code you use QR code 2, this third one you use QR code 3, or if you want to get to where you want to have it to be more easily apparent when you go onto Google Analytics later, you could say golf course card. Or you could say billboard at rec center. You could do something like that. You may not want to do it like that though, and use it be fairly cryptic here. Why? Because the URL bar, when they get to your website, it's going to say whatever you want to, whatever you ultimately put in here. If you use QR code 1, nobody gives a crap. If you're going to say billboard at rec center, people are like, whoa, wow, they're tracking me. You see, very few people will even notice that, but just letting you know, so you can make your decision whether you want to be super explicit in your tracking in your QR code that'll show up in the user's web URL bar or not. And that's how it effectively works, by the way. The URL is different so that Google Analytics, when you go ahead and it looks at the web traffic, it'll actually look at the URL bar and check to see if there's anything after the end of the URL showing your Google Analytics reporting. Okay? So with that said, the other way to track, by the way, the QR code visits to your website would be to send users to a dedicated landing page on your site, and then later on you could go and see if you had any visits to that specific dedicated landing page. The problem for this is, though, of course, is if you have 50 QR codes, you would need 50 landing pages, but that in itself isn't that big of a problem because you can just do like / landing page 1 in terms of the URL to visit that page, / landing page 2, and all the way up to 50. Now, the benefit of using this second method of just sending them to a dedicated landing page each time is because on Apple devices specifically, a lot of times the URL will be the UTM information at the end of the URL will be stripped off because Apple's on this privacy kick, and you won't have the user data in Google Analytics after all of this that you want. So what I would recommend you do is do both, actually. Add your UTM codes in there and then also send them to a dedicated landing page. If you use a landing page tool like Unbounce, like we use on all of our clients' campaigns, there's no junking up the website with 50 landing pages. Because if you make 50 landing pages for your marketing campaign, in the list of pages in your back end of your website, it's going to have all these other pages that kind of make it hard to find the pages on your main website that you want to edit. Whereas a landing page tool keeps all the landing pages self-contained in a separate system, and even though those landing pages still look like it's on your main website, it's not. It's within a landing page system that's separate. And furthermore, what I've seen people do a lot of times is before we started using the landing page tool at our advertising agency and basically strongly suggesting that that we have to use it to just work on their campaigns, we would put landing pages on their website, and then a developer would come along 2-3 years down the road, which most web developers, sorry, for saying it, but they're basically, idiots a lot of times. They'll come and update the website, and then they'll just delete on accident all those landing pages. Like they're going to update the design of the website. They don't know those landing pages are there, and then boom, they're gone. And your landing pages are not backed up per se, or maybe they are, maybe they aren't. But then at the very least, they're gone, and then there's a period of time where there's traffic driving to non-existent pages. It's good insurance to have a landing page tool that just only one person has the keys to all those landing pages, and that person isn't ever going to screw up those landing pages. Whereas if they're just on as a main part of the website, your web developer who's clueless about marketing may accidentally delete them or screw them up in some way. You simply go into your Google Analytics account and you can check the source medium report, is what it's called. And in the source medium report, every visit that you get from that QR code is going to show up under source QR. It'll say QR code 1 if you use that at the end of your URL here. If you put at the end of the URL QR code 2, the source will say QR code 2, and then the number of visits that show up under QR code 2 is how many people use the QR code with that specific part of the URL itself. So in other words, if you have 50 QR codes, each one you've used at the end of the URL a different number. Under the source medium report on Google Analytics 4, it'll say, if you got visits from all 50, it'll say, QR code 1, QR code 2, QR code 3, and then the number of visits correspondingly that you got from each QR code usage, from each person that came through your QR code from that site, if that makes sense. And because, like I said, Apple devices strip off some of this UTM information at the end of your URL, what you can also do is go into your landing page report / Google Analytics and then just see how many of the landing pages got visits, given that there's only one way that they could get to that landing page, and you've labeled each landing page, each page was differently. It was like, landing page 1, landing page 2, so on and so forth. You can have a key somewhere that you write down on a piece of paper or whatnot. Landing page 1 URL is linked to the golf course campaign. Landing page 2 is linked to the bulletin board listing that we did. So that at the end of the day, you go to the landing page report, you're going to know how many QR code usages have happened from each place that you're advertising that way with the QR code on it, if that makes sense. So that would be the best way to get the most data, okay? Yeah, that's basically everything I can tell you about creating QR codes and tracking QR codes. And, your goal, if you're using QR codes, if it's working, should be just to get a paid solution so that you can basically have some assurance that your QR codes are not going to break at any time. And of course, the landing pages, knowing the landing pages won't break at any time and having a separate tool just for hosting your landing pages, then you're going to have something that presumably only you have the keys to, and nobody's going to come around that manages your website or whatnot, screwing everything up that's consistently bringing in profitable business to you. So with that said, I'll wrap everything up with that. If you have any questions, leave me a comment below. I get back to every single person who leaves me a question or a comment on this video or the videos that I produce, usually within 24 hours time. If you're looking for a channel to subscribe to that's going to tell you how to make millions of dollars in revenue and profit for your business on an ongoing basis, this is the channel you want to subscribe to, as I have 15 years of ad experience and manage dozens of ad accounts on an ongoing basis to figure out what does and what does not work with ad campaigns on Google, Facebook, and so on and so forth, and therefore can give you the real first-hand working information about what works and what does not work out there in today's environment. Most other channels and sources of information on how to make money with online ads that you can find out there is coming from people who sell courses and don't really run ads. They pretend like they do, they don't. It's not, and therefore you're not getting accurate information. They're not like myself, who just does ad strategy for clients on dozens of ad accounts, 40 hours a week as my sole job, and just does the strategy side of things, not even the execution side, but just my job is to figure out what works and what doesn't work for clients so we can guarantee the results so we can get paid. We have a service that surrounds guaranteed PPC and the results thereof. So if you're going to subscribe to anything, if that is your goal, this is what you want to subscribe to, this channel specifically, and you should subscribe right now. Furthermore, I also have a blog you can find at guaranteedppc.com/blog, where I have lots of different strategies that we've found to work in the past with step-by-step instructions, screenshots, everything that you need to replicate the strategies that we're using that we already know work for your own business as well. If you like the channel, you'll love the blog as well. Also, I mentioned I offer a guaranteed PPC service here. We're a PPC agency where we run online ads for clients, and we do not charge our clients fees until we get them a certain amount of minimum results on their campaigns. That is, if we cannot make you more money from your campaigns in terms of profit before we get paid, we do not take a fee at all, of which we would agree up front what the results would have to be in addition to what you already have before we would be able and eligible to get paid at all. No other agency out there does that. That is still, as far as I know, which should show you the quality of the the service we provide and what we can deliver, as well as the quality of information that we're presenting on this channel to you here, by the way. But if you're interested in that type of service, you can reach out to me at guaranteeppc.com. I'd be happy to look over your stuff and see what kind of results we can get with your campaign, if we can get results at all, given that we're not going to blow smoke up your ass and tell you we can get results when we can't, and only take on so many clients because of that. So if you're interested in that, you can also reach out to me at my agency. And beyond that, if you don't like to work with ad agencies, which many people don't, they want to manage their own ads. If we've worked in your niche market before, and we've worked in over 100 different niche markets in the last 10 years of running Guaranteed PPC, we can give you the actual ads, landing pages, everything that works for your market that we figured out that works great, and you just use those in your own ad accounts to get the same results we're getting in your market. Many times after spending millions of dollars of ad spend to figure out what works in your market. Shortcutting all the process of us doing all the testing we had to do to figure out what works the best in your market, and of which we can tell you the results you would get with them up front because, of course, we're running those campaigns already. So if you're interested in that type of thing, you should also reach out to me at guaranteeppc.com. We got people using these templates to start up whole other side businesses because, there's no easier way to start up a business that sells stuff online than having a template that works to sell it that's already proven before you even get started. Whether you want to start an e-commerce business, start a business selling leads, which we've got several people doing that, which is a great passive income business idea, by the way. You can reach out to me at my firm at guaranteeppc.com if you're interested in that as well. But I'll wrap everything up with that. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you in my next video where we have another great strategy for you then.